seriously tear in my eye because I remember who you were in that moment. And I was like, where is my friend? You know, because she was in such a dark place, but it was like kind of like having somebody like her spirit was gone and she was just like just going through this motion, and I'm like, girl, you are better than this, you deserve better than this. And so I remember being there and witnessing it for myself. And it's one of those things to where like somebody on the outside, they have everything, you know, and it was like, you know, this person, they had the house, they had the job, they had the car, they had the stuff, but he was empty and he was draining her. And I remember us being on the phone because out there, she was in a different time zone. And I would call and I'd be like, yo, what's the plan? Because we can't do this anymore. And I remember the conversation that you all had. And it was like the light finally came on for her. And she was like, I can't do this anymore. And, you know, our thing was if we could just get you back on the East Coast.
And how do we do that?
How do we do that? Yeah. Because, you know, one thing I can say about Tiffany is when she loves. And it's like I don't care what nobody says.
She loves for real.
She loves for real. And, you know, it was one of those things because, like, when she ended up out there, it was only supposed to be a visit.
It was only supposed to be a visit.
And the visit turned into, what, 3 years? 2?
4.
It was 4? And, like...
It was literally, and people really think like, no, you plotted. No, it was literally only for a visit. It was literally for a visit. Literally, that's it. It was
like, that sounds familiar.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yeah, you were supposed to visit too. You said.
Yeah, you were supposed to visit too.
I'm still here.
And you're still here. But it's a testament to, number one, like I said, as I'm sitting here, and like we've been friends for so long. But it's one of those things, number one, when it's meant to be and it's ordained, nothing that you do is going to get in the way of that. Because it's going to come to pass.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the fact of when a man knows what he wants, he's going to come back and get it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so, definitely that.
So you seen her and you said she didn't even look like herself. I remember talking to her and it was even odd and awkward then. Yeah. And then the whole situation, I just totally disagree with. It's just like, you know, usually I'm just like, you know, you know, you good, you cool, you know, type of ordeal. But this one, it didn't sit well with me, and this is in my state of drunkenness. This is in my state of all my sin. Seeing through this, I mean, well, not seeing it physically, but it's just like seeing somebody go through this, and it's just like, man, it's just not right for some reason.
Yeah.
And for me, a person who has always been in love with her, loved her, know, like, listen, this is not for you.
It was hard because I can remember when me and you would fight, we would argue, and she would be saying, you know, well, how are we going to do it? Oh, no, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to just say, it's going to work. I need to finish school. Like that, then that became the thing. And because I remember you saying, you sure you want to enroll? And I said, well, I got to enroll. I said, because if I don't enroll, I got to keep hearing my mama's mouth, is what I said. Because being out there, I was talking to Janae, but really not talking to Janae, trying to cover as much as I could. I wasn't talking to my mom at all. My advisor, I was also close to, she was talking to me, and I was hiding that. And she was like, well, when are you coming back here? Because she was actually looking for programs to help me further my education in the field that would have been, I'll say, very lucrative for me.
You were trying to do speech pathology.
I was trying to do speech pathology because I was going to go into helping, the kids that can't speak. So she had been looking at all of these different programs for me, but then I blew that. So the only person I really was talking to was my dad. And, he would say, like, if it ain't your way, then, the heck with it. And then I'm like, no, I'm good. But then I would talk to Janae, and she was reading it right through it. She was reading all the stuff. And in the midst of that, the funny part is, that's when, you remember I told you, my friend, they were Mormons out there. That's when I connected with them because that was through my school program. So, where I wasn't as young as some of them, but I was like in the middle of the group. But they took care of me like I was like their sister. And so that like her and her husband, like they were kind of like the breakthrough to what I needed to show me like, hey, God still does exist. And so I'm like, okay. And then I would tell Janae, like, well, because there were times where I didn't have a way from school because I was stranded. So I would ride home with them. I would ride, some of my other classmates would drop me off. And that was the thing, is being in a place, literally in no man's land, without anybody there. And so I had to find people that, I could connect with. Because I couldn't work and go to school. So I had to do school only. Because that's when I first got into the teaching program. And so that's how I got caught up in that. And then a lot of things happened in and out of that. And so once I was done with the program, and I got, the first job I quit. And I had met some really nice people there. First job I had to quit because they would not help with school. And then when I got the second job is when I met Mama D. And she was literally like my mama. Like she knew she knew that like I was by myself. She knew that she knew family was here. And she was the closest thing that I knew that I could trust. And so she too would, take care of me. But even in all that, like I would still be calling her like, I've been accused of this. And I'm like, I ain't even doing that. I'm just going from here to here. Because anytime, and that was why I couldn't talk to you. Because anytime there was anything dealing with another male, it was an issue. So the best thing that I could do was, and you didn't play video games at all, but that was my disguise.
I was in the streets.
You was in the streets. You was in the streets.
Now,
so
I think I might have been on stages then.
Yeah, you were. You were on stage. You were performing.
Yeah.
Because that's when you went to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, really? And so I remember like all of those little pieces. And then it wasn't, when we started plotting, it was funny because we started trying to plot when I was going to leave. And I kept saying, I don't know. And I don't know how I'm going to do it because I ended up getting laid off from that job. And I'll never forget, Janae said, make sure you stacking your money. Don't put all your money in bills. And I was like, okay.
She turned to a financial advisor.
Yeah, it was like, make sure you stack it. But the way I was flying too, like I had no choice because I knew I had to get back home. So I had enough money, and then Janae made sure, don't let nobody know how much money you got. So I had money.
So if you're looking for a financial advisor,
Janae is your she can help you out with your financial plans.
She's gonna get you right.
She will get you right.
Oh, she make me so
rescue money.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
But for real.
But that was what happened, and the only reason why I ended up getting out the way I did was because one, I had the big plan came into play is when I went and visited friends in Indiana, which was like on a whim. And when I visited them, that allowed us to have a little bit more conversation. Okay, what's the next move?
So how'd you feel when he was accusing you of stuff you didn't do?
I was hurt, but then I was still afraid to leave because the only way to the airport was
him.
Because out there we didn't have Ubers then, you didn't have Lyfts, you had a taxi cab, but I wasn't finna get in a taxi with them people out there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight the part where you were accused of something you didn't do.
Let's bring it back. because he was accused.
Right, he was accused.
Yeah,
you really
I told
were.
you.
And it didn't
earlier,
feel good.
It has a way of coming back around.
And it did.
But you know what though? To tie it all in, had that not happened, you wouldn't have been here today.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't have been the woman that she was when you met her again. Look, the third time.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so.
And that was 2012.
Yes.
That, and then that's when
we're still doing years.
We're doing years. Those are, but and that's because I want people to be able to hear that this whole thing started as a huge bond, and then it has lasted because you don't see this.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see this type of friendship. You don't see this type of relationship because people, you know, once somebody's done wrong, that's it.
Yeah.
And even though, like, I stiff arm her, you know, because she said, if I'm done when I'm done, and she would be fussing, she kept calling. Like, there was never a moment where she didn't call. Now, there were moments where I didn't answer her, and she would leave messages, and so my phone would be full of messages and text messages because her fussing at me. And then at that time, the way she was able to keep me on the phone is because she had her middle baby.
Well, let me ask you, like, how did you feel being pushed away like that? Because it sounded like you were pursuing because you rock with her. You know what I'm saying? This is the same person, like, look, you ready to go ride. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
She ready to ride it.
And you get the stiff arm for the most part. In the midst of that, because like you said, it's rare that most people are like, well, then fine, then go ahead and do what you need to do. Talk about that.
So Tiffany and I, even then, we were very much alike. We grew up in a similar situation. Both grew up in single parent homes. Both grew up separated from our fathers. And so we had that foundation there. And when we first met, we had those conversations, and, you know, we were able to bond and really push each other beyond those circumstances. And it was a thing of like, yeah, it hurt. I remember like calling her and leaving this long message like, I don't care if you don't talk to me anymore. Like, I don't care. But I want you to know this. You can push me away. You can do whatever you want to do, but I still love you. And that's what it was. And when, like I said, when she was out there, that was a time to where I really did not know if our friendship was going to survive because like it was almost a month at one point to where she did not pick up the phone. She, like, I would see her online and she would respond to like certain stuff online, but pick up the phone and talk. She wasn't talking. But, you know, I had to understand that she was going through her own thing because, like I said, that thing was heavy out there. And all you can do, I just prayed for her. And I remember telling her all the time, I'm praying for you, and I hope that whatever's going on out there, that you can come from it, you know, that you're surviving out there. But I felt her all the time. And I would call her and tell her, I feel you. I love you.
Yeah.
And, you know, but I had to let her go through that situation. And I said, we're still here.
Yeah.
Still kicking it, as you see.
Still kicking it.
She's on the couch.
Still kicking it. I can't.
So, I know we had to get you from that situation. I didn't know. I didn't even know how we were going to do that. But for some reason, I just happened to come in to the situation.
Yeah, you did.
And I think it was like crazy timing.
It was.
Because on the flip side, I was in a situation too, and I believe a month before about to get married was abruptly like, nah,
yeah,
it was cut. So then, you know me, a month away from about to get married, shattered. Yeah. And that's when I put that post, never put your eggs all in one basket.
Yeah.
Because of that right there, because it's kind of like, okay, what's the point then?
Yeah.
And I think...
because that was that month, and then you went silent.
Yeah.
He went silent after that.
I was done then. And I think that's what my mom told me. She gave me the craziest wisdom ever. Because I was heartbroken, because I was like, we about a month away from getting married. Like, I was shattered. And most people are like, man, this dude's soft. I mean, it's only one way to find out, baby. Nah.
Sad.
But the thing is that she said, you never put no person in front of God. I had to respect it. I was like, man, that's true. So I still continued on my ignorancy of my different devices, though. But in the midst of everything, caught wind. I think I reached out to you, I think, did you reach out to me?
I reached out to you after I saw the post. There was something exchanged, but then you went silent. Like, you didn't respond to anything. But then right after that, that's when I had got wind that my granny had fallen. And she was in the hospital. And I think that's when I went to Indiana. And by the time I got back, we moved into a smaller spot. And then I got a phone call that she had passed. And I was on the phone trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I get, not realizing that was going to be the out. But I looked at, okay, this is a break. And I was like, I don't know when I'm coming back. Because that was actually the second death that I had out there. The first death was when I first got out there, and that was my grandfather. And I was gone, I think, 2 weeks. And I told her, I said, yeah, I'm going to go back. And I went back. And then 2012 is when my grandmother, my great granny passed. And then when you text me, that was the day of the funeral. I was in the back seat. My dad and my sister's mom we were running late. And then my grandma was blowing me up because we literally running late to the funeral. And then you text me, and it was just, hi. But I got, and I was like, hi, but I didn't get a chance. I remember I didn't get a chance to respond back to you full message until after the funeral, and we were in the repast. And then that's when I was like, hey, I'm, this is where I am. There was a death. And I'm so glad to hear from you. Like, it was like literally light at the end of the tunnel. Because not only was I in light because I was outside of what had been, I'll call it the uncomfort zone, but then now I have you reaching out.
That's why I say it was crazy timing.
Yeah, it was crazy timing because we were on the way back from Atlantic City, and I remember I told you, I was like, guess who? It was always, guess who texted me? Guess who texted me? Instead of just coming out and saying it, guess who texted me?
The cool one-liners.
The cool one. Yeah.
Hey.
Cool. Hey. It was. And it was always hey. And then while there, I was still, I think, like, we were having small talk. We really weren't still talking a whole lot, like big stuff. We were having small talk. But it wasn't until then where I was finding out a whole lot of stuff.
What was going on at
the house. And instead of how a typical person would be checking to see how you are, how things going, how was the funeral, I was getting other stuff. And so I was telling her, and then now I'm livid. So she said, what's your plan to move? Where I'm going? And I remember going through the things. Can't move with my grandma because her spot's too small. Can't move back with my mom. I refuse to do that. Can't, I didn't have, like, I really hadn't, I was literally, if I leave, I know I'm going to be homeless. Where am I going to go?
I think the crazy part is you were willing to live in misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of just like you gotta understand what type of a hold that is.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and I commend you because it's like you always like, listen, I got to get out of jail free card.
Yeah, it was literally.
I was like, so what we doing?
What was that? It was.
What we doing? But I think too, and look, Mama, I love you. So if you watch this, Mama, I love you. But I think that Tiffany had this thing of I can't go home. Mm-hmm. I can't go home. Mm. And it was like, I don't care what's going on. Number one, I got to prove that
I can do this.
I can do this. Yeah. And number two, I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we know how it was back then. Mm-hmm. It was, I told you, you better not, you don't need to. Yeah. And so when you're living that type of lifestyle, you have a point to prove. And so that was a really big factor in that of like, I'm not, like, I am not going to, you know, let anybody know that I'm not handling this.
That's why I believe pride is a shaky thing because in the midst of being mistreated, done wrong, dang near cast aside, I'm willing to stay in this because I don't want to hear the simple words of 9 times 10. Our parents do it all the time. Yeah. I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents, stop doing that, please.
Yeah, no, for real.
Like, because this is something that not only you made it out, but I think about the people who didn't make it out.
Yeah. And you stayed.
You stayed. Mm-hmm. And then it went left.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I told you so is exactly that same thing. Because no child want to hear that.
Right.
No child wants to hear that.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest part of it. It was like, see how I'm living, you know. I mean, like I said, it's huge. I mean, you know, I had it under control. I did what you wanted me to do. And that was, you wanted me to go to school. I did that. Now let me do this. And so that was that biggest part. And so because I knew I couldn't go home, it was like, all right, Daddy, can I come stay with y'all?
Facts.
And so that was how, like, that plan. So it was like, okay, what's the day? When we leaving? Yep. And so, like, I literally remember we looked at a day and picked a day on the calendar. Random day. Don't even know why. Like, it was in May. It was a day in May. And I remember saying, I'm afraid because I got to say what day I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. And that was like the hardest part because it was like, but what do I do? How do I pack up my whole life of 4 years? And then it literally came down to, I remember Janae was like, well, you might just have to pack what you got. Mm-hmm. And I remember boxing. And then I remember that's when, like, you and I, after I left my dad's and after the funeral when I went back, because I was there for a couple of weeks or 2, I think. But that's when you were talking to me constantly, all the time. And I had the time because I wasn't working then. And so I remember talking to you and you would be saying some stuff and I'm like, Janae? And you'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm like, that don't make no sense. You sure? She was like, yeah. And then I remember told me
that was a strange time.
Yeah.
Because even strange. Now I think back because I was like, man, like I was on some.
You was on all the things.
I was on some wild stuff, but still being used in a way that's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Right. And you didn't know. And then,
I knew she had to come out of there.
Yeah. And that's when we would all link. Mm-hmm. But I think it got to a point, I remember it got to a point where we were always on the phone. We were always linked in. It was always 3. And then I had someone who I thought that I could trust. And I remember you said, well, go get what you said. You asked me, did I have a Bible? And I'm like, girl, no, I ain't got no Bible out here. And I remember you said, well, go the Barnes & Noble somewhere, go get a Bible. And I got a Bible. It was a pink Bible. So I had that. I remember having that Bible. And I just was like, well, God, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And I don't know which way to go. And then you would tell me one thing, and I would cross-reference it here. And then I think you told me, he's like, put him on the phone. And then, but y'all two were, and this was the dynamic where we all say we're all friends, because the dynamic part of it is when my doubt in what he was saying, it didn't make sense because spiritually I wasn't on that level. But Janae knew, because that was the life she lived. Like, she knew all of the things you were talking about as far as scripture reading and all of this. And so I remember when you said something about blessed oil, I'm like, Janae, what is blessed oil? What does that mean? What do I have to, what do say what?
And the thing, spiritually, I didn't feel like I was on that level. I was just literally a vessel.
Yeah.
That at that present point in time, I felt like God used my heart for you to say, listen,
to speak to it.
To speak.
Yeah.
That's why I understand when the Bible talks about, he spoke through a donkey. I was that donkey. Because I was bucking at everything.
Right.
Trust. So in the midst of all of that.
And that was that second scary time.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was the second. And then, because y'all did a whole lot of talking, and I kept saying, Janae, I said, there's no way I can pack up this whole house. I said, I got so much stuff. And you said, get what you can. And I had to go buy luggage because I didn't have any suitcases.
Yeah.
And I still got that same luggage. It's still in good condition. I got it. I still have, and it had hearts on it. I don't know why, but that was what I gravitated to. And then Janae said, well, pack what you can in your suitcases. And I was like, important documents, and then as many clothes as I could. Because then it literally came down to a matter of literally survival.
Yeah. It was, I think it turned into like a horror movie.
It did.
It was because it was kind of like
very fast.
Trying to help somebody. You can't physically help them, but it's kind of like, listen. Yeah, it's like being blindfolded, but it's like, I want you to listen to every instruction carefully.
Yeah. But you got to do it this way.
But you got to do it, yep.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
You can't deviate from the script. I don't need you remixing this. I need you to.
No, for real.
Boom,
yeah.
Boom, boom.
For real. Yeah. And I'm like, what kind of stuff?
It was amazing how God set different people in place, though. Because it was like some people, I mean, not around today, who I thought, would be kind of in the same thing, but it was just kind of like, I felt like they were just that tool.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for this person, she wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'll never forget, I think the biggest thing you were like, that same credit card I be talking about the balance on. I remember you were like, you got to change your flight. I said, I got to do what? You said, call the airline, change your flight. I said, what? And I called. I said, this fool talking about, I got to go. I said, you know how much it is to change a flight last minute? I said, you know what they said? And you said, call them and see what they say. Change flight. What? I'm like, both of them saying, man, they crazy. Like, in my mind, that's what I was thinking. Like, they crazy. Change my flight. 2 versus 1. Like, pay this money, change. And I'm like, man. And I think it was like it was like $380. It was almost $400. Don't ask me how I remember that. And you said, this is the date you need to fly out. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, why that date? You said, I don't know why that date. And then I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the airport because this person is doing some crazy stuff right now.
Yeah, it got dark.
It got very dark, very quick. And it was for me, on that side, it was very scary to the point where I didn't know how to explain to either one of y'all, like.
Oh, because it was time.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I was like, I didn't know if I was going to make it out.
Yeah, it got twisted. And I think for me, I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
At that point in time. It's like wanting to, You know, you wanna use all your powers and your tools and different other stuff. Like, but at that point, had no choice but to trust God. You say you love this woman. I'm gonna need you to trust me. This is with liquor in the hand. This is with a rolled up blunt. But I knew right now, for some reason, I felt like, yeah, this about to shift and this about to get crazy.
Cause I remember I was like, I'm in the airport, but I'm like, I'm scared. And I'm in, you know, cause the airport it wasn't huge. So it's not like, you know, the Atlanta airport. It was very, very small. Or not very, very small, but small enough. And I remember saying, I was like, I'm here. I was like, but I'm just looking around. I was like, because I don't think I'm going to make it on the plane. And I remember I didn't even take a breath until like the wheels were up and I was up in the sky. But even then, like I just was looking around. Like, what if? And then at that point.
So your thoughts on, I know you've heard this before, right? So reliving this of your friend, because you said you went there, right?
Yeah.
So you physically have seen, felt everything in that whole atmosphere, right? Then 9 times 10, then you was just like, okay, yeah, this ain't right. Because you said, you know, I never really recognized her because she just didn't seem like old Tiff, different other stuff like that. So give me your thoughts on that process, because I know for me, the process was like, shawty, we got to get you out of here.
Yeah.
What's your thought? Like,
I remember that time of really, number one, being like, girl, you don't know this man. Talking about you now.
Yeah.
You don't know this man,
Yeah.
but I trusted the God in you in the way that we connected in that moment. And it was no way possible that two people who never talked to each other like that,
For real.
who, you know, we never had a sidebar, never had anything, things were just confirmed. And when it's like that, you know, it's nothing but God. And it was no way to deny it at all. It was to the point to where, like I said, you and I would be saying the same exact thing. And Tiffany would be like, he just said that.
Yeah. You're right.
Hold on, like,
You just said he said.
You just literally confirmed what he said. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move. I remember when you were talking about your stuff, because baby, that stuff had you in a chokehold. She was like, I can't leave my stuff.
Yeah.
My stuff. And I was like, you just got to take what's important to you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, because again, I had been there. And I was like, you got to take what's important to you, what you're going to need in the future. That stuff, we can get more stuff. Don't worry about it.
I think I'll tell you that same day.
Because it was more accumulated on top of what I had when you came out. I was just like, man, this is just too much. It was literally stuff. Like I had stuff everywhere. Because I mean, and I looked at it as, like you said, I need to prove a point. I worked hard for this. I don't want to leave this. But at the same time, being told, wait, your money ain't enough anyway because you got no job. Like, so you're hearing that, and so I'm like, this is why I need my stuff. Like, I don't need to leave you with anything.
Anything to help you out.
Anything to help you out, I don't need to leave that. Because without me, you wouldn't be, because I was making more. Like before I got laid off, like I was making way more. And so it was like, no, I'm not trying to help you out. I need everything I got. I need it. And then that was That was that turning point. And when she was like, hey, put whatever. So it was like, okay. And she was like, important documents. And I had to like rack my brain because it had to be done in the quickest manner that y'all were telling me, but I didn't understand why it had to be done so quickly. And so like I remember when I got back from up north, I didn't unpack. Mm-hmm. I didn't unpack. I just added more stuff to what I already had. Mm-hmm. And then I think I ended up with 3 suitcases. Mm-hmm. I had 3 suitcases worth of stuff, and then in my backpack I had all of my important documents. And then I had to make sure I had a charger, because you was like, make sure you got your charger. You was like, you cannot leave the house without your charger. And I'm like, why? Like, but it wasn't like how, you get on Amazon now, order your charger, go to the store. Like, she was like, you need your charger. So no matter what, make sure you have your phone and have your charger. So I remember when I had to leave the house that day, the only thing I had in my hand was my phone, my charger, and I had my purse. And that was all I had, because that was all I can get in that moment to run out of the house.
That's tough.
And so when we went back to get the suitcases, I remember saying, hey, something's not right. And then I remember, I don't know who I had on the phone, probably both of y'all at the same time. But I remember explaining what I saw. And then in that moment, I knew something is totally off.
That's when it shifted in that house.
And it shifted completely. Mm-hmm. And then it became this is how much time you got to get in there and get what you need.
Yep.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
It became the most craziest spiritual warfare.
It did.
Yeah. And people wouldn't believe that. Like,
it got bad.
It got real.
Because I began to feel things over the phone.
Yeah.
And then I began to feel things off of her and began to tell her, okay, this is like, it was so intense.
Yeah.
To the point where physically you can feel it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it was.
Yep.
And it was just like, what in the world? And then it just, when I think about it now, it's like, you had prepped me 2 years prior to that. Come on, pack stuff. Just come on home. You good. You graduated. Come on home. And then I'm like, I'm good. I can't. And then, on this side of hearing, and you were saying just like, you don't need, what he got, that ain't got. Like, that was, because you were still talking, you would talk trash. But the connection that I just remember is y'all each walking me through every single stage of that thing. Even when I went to Miss D's house, it was like, Mama D live out here. Literally, like, it was literally survival. And that's why I think now when I talk to people that talk about getting in relationships and moving, and then they're the only one, like, hey, be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't as mindful as I should have been, because I was naive in the thing. I'm just going out, and then it turned and it shifted. And then in that shift, I remember when I got to the airport, I think I called you and I was like, I made it, but I was still scared because I felt like someone knows my itinerary, someone knows where I am, and they're going to come here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be found out. Like, I still, like, I'm out of this place. I'm in a whole different state, in a whole different region of the world, but I still did not feel comfortable. And it wasn't until I got there till, like, it was almost like a moment of clarity, because I know I was talking to you and you were like, well, what's going on? And I remember, I remember the other person, we'll just put it like that. I ain't got no name.
Suzanne.
Okay, there we go. But I remember Suzanne
if
saying,
you need an alias, I'm your man.
Yeah. I remember Suzanne saying, oh yeah, I could have told you this, that, and the other. And I'm like, but why didn't you? And it was like, why didn't you? Oh, well, I knew X, Y, and it was like,
But I mean, she probably never wanted to see another woman's tears or something like that.
I can't deal.
Nah, I think it was more like I suffered, you gonna suffer.
Right. It was.
No,
it
for
was
real.
either. It was either the I suffer and you're gonna suffer, or it was the I suffer, you suffer, and I've been informed. I better not tell you.
Yeah.
The history.
So, but if she told you, would you have believed her?
Yeah, I would have. Because the thing about the difference in the situations is when I got the lie on you, what Suzanne knew Suzanne lived.
Yeah.
And like Suzanne had nothing to lose. Like it was just a matter of who are you and what are your intentions, and be mindful because hey, these two belong to me.
Yeah.
And once that was built where it was like, oh, I'm not here to harm, then that began to cultivate, because to be honest, some of the relationships that I still have with a few people, that came because Suzanne began to realize, I was introduced there because that was the only way I was being introduced to people. And so when I got there, we talk still every day. We talk every single day. And then I remember telling you, I said, I can't do this here either. And I said, I can't do this. And then I remember you saying, what you gonna do? I don't know.
It was always on a rescue mission.
It was. And you was like, you said, why don't you just call and see if you can go home? And I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. Why don't you? Nah, I ain't doing that.
And crazy part is, because it's, pride is such a man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But so not saying that you weren't prideful, but I think too hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you have that pride there, it's because you were hurt in the area. And that situation really, like, it was a whole lot of healing that needed to take place there. And a lot of times it is the child that has to come back and say, hey, you got to get it right.
Yeah.
And like I said, ooh, that was tough.
It was.
It was tough. But,
it was. And then, like, once we did, like, before, like, I knew I had to do that. And then that was when I was like, hey, this is where I am. And then that's when you visited 1, 2, 3 times. And so it wasn't until we.
Hold on. No. I'm trying to.
I'm saying it wasn't. No, I'm not finna skip over. But we met online. I'm catching them up to speed. We met online on MySpace in 2006. And all of those years, that was only communication either via phone or via Instagram. Not Instagram. Instagram wasn't even around there. MySpace or either Facebook. And that was it. Or sometimes Yahoo Messenger, if that worked, depending. But that was it.
I'm laughing at our guest.
Right. Then physically we met. It was in 2012, and I'll never forget that because that was actually Memorial Day weekend. And you was like, "I'm gonna drive," and I'm like, "How?" And I'm like, "Hey,"
and he said, watch me.
You did, didn't he?
He said.
And I said, what kind of stuff? And I said, are you gonna? And then I remember you say, hey, make sure you and Mama T at that time, I was like, hey, take pictures of the tag.
And did.
And so I got the pictures of the tag. I got a picture of the make and model of the car itself. And so that was when, like, it was almost like a breath of fresh air. Because it was then putting a face, a face for real, with the person that I had been talking to all of those years.
Was it worth it?
It was worth it. But then, we did, 2 or 3 of those trips back and forth.
Yeah.
Or you did. And then when I got to the point where I could not live in the environment that I was, when I said I couldn't live, it wasn't suitable.
It wasn't good for you.
It wasn't suitable to what I needed. And I remember when I told you, I said, hey, I'm just letting you know that I'm not gonna be here. I'm moving. And you said moving where?
So moving again?
You did.
You is.
And I told you, and you said, well, I remember you saying, what does that mean for us?
Because I wanted to know.
And then what did you start planning then in your head?
It's coming.
I liked you. And I wanted
to. Real bad.
But it's just one of those things, man. When you find something worth fighting for, you do everything in your power to fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
You do everything in your power to get to it. As a man, there's no such thing as, for me, I never use the word I can't.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's all about I will try to make it happen. Period, point blank. That's why I don't want to hear nobody talking about, you love this person. Love is shown in your actions, what you do, how you pursue. A man is supposed to pursue. It's not supposed to be easy. When pursuing something, that means that you're chasing after.
Mm-hmm.
It's not coming towards you. The Bible says, he that findeth. So which means to find is to seek.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always tell my son, hey, if it come easy,
you don't want that.
You don't want that. Pass it along. Like, y'all just heard the journey just to get to, first of all, physically see.
Yeah, that's it. That's how we're trying to do.
Just to physically see her was a journey.
Yeah.
But I never stopped talking. I never stopped communicating. Yeah. I always had love for her. Always was in love with her.
Because you did. You said, well, just move here. I said, I ain't doing that no more. You said, what you mean? I remember you mad, too.
I was ticked off because I'm like, you move with
You did. Mm-hmm. You did. And I said, I don't know if this going to work. I was like, because I'm not going up there. And you were like,
Yeah, I was like, child, we didn't no.
Yeah, that was my no. Mm-mm. My no was because she's like, no, you ain't doing that no more. That's it. No.
So, like I said, when you like something, you go after
it.
And then shortly after that, when I moved back home. And then what I had to do then is explain to my mom, like, this is what, like, you only know this part. But let me explain to you what all occurred. Because then when I got home, all I'm doing is I'm on the phone. Mm-hmm. All day. You gonna get a job, and then it was the back, and I'm like, and I told her, I said, I can't do this too long.
Yeah.
Because it was, you gotta get a job. You go on the phone with him all day. Does he even work? Did it, like, it was just the back and forth. And then at that point, I was doing, because I was laid off, I was drawing unemployment. And then I was able to get my unemployment transferred to where I was, and I had to do my unemployment hours. And so, like, I had to get on the computer and then look for jobs and stuff. So in the midst of that, I was on the phone with you all day. And then, Janae was like, well, have you looked up here? And I'm like, I haven't, but I wouldn't mind doing that. And then it wasn't until I applied here to our old college, and then and that was through a friend. And then I was just coming back and forth, and actually before then too, because that's when you came and got me from the airport. So when I had to leave from up north and I came, that was the first time I had seen you
in forever,
because I didn't come home after that. I left and went up north, and then I just said, hey, I made it. And then I had a whole Calgary waiting on me when I got home to the airport. And it was literally like a breath of fresh air, because it was like, I can truly breathe because I'm around people who get it. Mm-hmm. Now, she understood a lot more than my other friend at the time that was with her. Janae knew everything I had gone through. And so it was just a fresh air when I was able to see her. And that's what I think, that's when I knew, okay, I can now breathe, and then I can now truly start over.
Mm-hmm. So it was a good reset.
It was a good reset, because that was the safe place. And then when I was coming back and forth up here, with my, with my then friend, even that was taking me back to some things, and it was just kind of like, I knew that wouldn't be a long lasting thing. But again, when you got your own car, I still had money, because I was getting unemployment, but as far as like my savings, like things was looking a little shabby. Things started depleting, so it was like I knew I needed to start working, and then that's when you were like, well, I'm gonna come visit. It's like, you lying. And then you did, because that was May. It was May and June. June, I think it's May, June. Yeah, May and June you came back and forth when I was up north, because I flew back here. It was July 3rd. The day before 4th of July. And I flew back here, and then you were coming here to visit in November of 2012. And then that would have been technically the 4th time I had seen you in person. And you told me what? What'd you tell me?
Huh?
What'd you tell me when you came back here?
I did some things.
I ain't doing with you. I'm not.
That kills your brain cells.
I can't.
You did some things.
You remember what you told me?
No, I don't.
You were singing songs.
Wasn't he singing songs? Because by this time, y'all, fast forward from 2006, where we had no digital and anything, we were able to Skype.
I know, right?
That was video calling for us. Horrible.
Yes.
It was horrible. Had no good.
Well,
you had to have
the good old days.
I mean, no, but I'm saying like feed wise, it definitely didn't have the clarity that it had, because you had them little rinky dink cameras.
Webcam.
You had to buy a webcam, and it was extended webcam.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It was horrible.
He was singing songs, y'all.
Singing songs. That's all I did. I got all them pictures. Remember?
Yes, singing songs.
Just serenading. And I was like, and I remember telling you, I said, he trying to come visit. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to work out. Because I knew I wasn't in my own spot. And that was the hold up for that. And then it was a weekend. You came for a weekend.
And did. I remember that. Because we went to some type of college or something.
It was homecoming.
I remember that too.
It was homecoming.
That's when I kind of I got to know your world.
Yeah.
Outside of, your people.
Or not homecoming's classic weekend.
Outside of your people, I got to, put faces. It's like me meeting. Okay.
Yeah, because you met Janae. Okay. And then,
and other people. But I also got to see that I can do this. Like, the years of me feeling like, love this girl, this is what I want to be with, this is this. Can you rock with her and her people? Like, because at the end of the day, if you can't rock with a lot of times who she's around,
you can't rock with her.
You can't really rock with her like that. Because, maybe me and her friend think different. But obviously me and her friend think alike.
Well, because you got to remember.
I'm talking about her.
I was about to say, I was going to let everybody know. Because some of my friends at that time, you better treat her right. You better, like.
No, talking so much yin.
Yeah. But.
And didn't even have a twin.
Didn't even know nothing.
See, talking so much yin yang and didn't have a
twin.
Come on.
But when he met Janae, he knew, like, they had an instant connection. Because she had already, like, they had already bonded, because, we had to have the Operation Freedom Fighters. And I just remember, like, Janae was like, yeah. And then she was the first year, but then when we went to church, Mom was the second year.
Yeah. She was the stamp of approval.
Right. But I was really going by because Janae had been there. I mean, we just went through, a couple, but even people that I liked, and just where we were having platonic friendships with, I was having platonic friendships with, and considering possibly dating. Jen's like, nah, nope. So that was that whole,
like she was a hater,
right, right. But she would tell me, she's like, don't. I'm like, what, really? For real? Okay.
Sorry, gotta let you go.
Right. And that's
no.
Yeah. Because it was just really that safety, especially being that a lot of it was crazies.
Yes.
A lot of it was crazy. Like, and it wasn't just like, hey, I meet you, I'm crazy. Hi, I'm crazy. Like, it was just like subtle stuff. And you be like, that ain't right. Okay, maybe. But then when it came out, you was like, yo.
See, that's that stuff.
It was just like that. I'm like, where that came? Okay.
Okay, so I guess the question would be, you say you always been Team Mo, right? You know what I'm saying? Did you see future-wise as just boyfriend, or did you see as husband?
So, look, let's take it back for a second. Look, the very first time you all met in real life, like real life, I remember having a conversation with Tiffany afterwards, and I said, well, how did it go? And she was like, oh, telling me all the things, and I was like, how does he make you feel? And Tiffany said, safe.
Wow. You never told me this.
Yeah. But she
You're
said,
holding out information.
What am I supposed to tell you that for?
We've been together all this long, and you never told me that.
But no, she said safe. And that, for me, was enough. Because when you've lived the life that we have lived, being able to be safe in a man's presence means so much. And then she talked about how she was able to sleep. And for years, she had not slept.
Wow.
Nah, I wasn't sleeping at all.
And so that for me was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And so, as the time went on, like I did. So when she told me that you all get married, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of knew that. And I was like,
yeah, I heard it.
Nothing new.
I knew that. I was like, good.
Yeah.
Good. And so, like I said, that word safe, that was it for me.
And that was when, like, Janae kind of let up. Like, you can see, I think, and that was when, once she realized, like, okay, you're good. That was when she was able to, because, like, y'all got to understand, like, she was literally big sister mode, 24/7, nonstop, 365. And 66 if you add a leap year. And that was the thing. And so I feel like that's where I think people start getting it misconstrued, because I was like, oh, well, y'all just don't hang anymore. It was because I think at the end of the day, you knew I was finally in good hands, and then you could breathe and just be like, okay, whew, everybody can just breathe and relax.
Yeah. And I mean, and at that point, like when you two got together, it was, you were going into a different part of your life. And I respected that.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, y'all do your thing.
Yeah.
And it's always been like that. It's been like a, you're like, oh, well, I'm on the phone with Rice.
Yep, with Rice.
And I'm like, all right, tell him I said what's up.
Yep.
So it was never a thing of like, I'm losing somebody. It was like, okay, well, I'm gaining me a brother.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's up? And definitely. So that's what it's been.
And that's what you always made clear from jump. And I think he was the first person that you had ever called. Okay, yeah, that's my brother.
The first.
And so, and the only. Yeah.
The only.
Wow.
Because everybody else did not warrant that title, for one. But then she wasn't going to let them get close to me, because I think, had that door open with some of the other ones, she could have been possibly blinded by just the facade. Because, I mean, they were great. Some of them were very great facades. and it knew the actions. But I think that initial trip out there, not only, it wasn't even only you. Like, I remember my grandma was saying it. My grandma saw it, and she was, "You're not good. Tip, you're not good." Yeah. Nope, you're not. And then I remember Janae telling me, nope, because we know you're not good. Me and your grandma talk. Your mama might think you good, but me and your grandma, we know. And that was why. But I was also vocal with my grandmother about what was going on. And she respected the fact of, she knew that Janae was going to have me covered no matter what. And that was the entrusting thing, where she didn't really know. She knew some of the other friends, but she knew that Janae was going to always be there. And that's why I said, like, no matter what, as far as like, we all started together, and we are literally still riding this thing together. Because I even remember when we were having some issues. And you know how people say, well, don't tell your friends your business, because then when y'all get back, to okay, and your friend's still mad. Like, Janae never had a anything negative to say, whether it was through us, like, our dating, or even through the rocky stages of marriage. Like, she was always like, well, nope, you gotta talk it out. I don't want to talk about it. You can't just, and she would say, you can't just quit this one.
That used to be my life. But you can't quit your husband.
Can't quit your husband.
You better go on back and talk.
You gotta go on back and talk. And it was that thing, and just that reassurance of saying, okay, this is how it has to be done, because you were wanting communication, but I had went years without having to even do that.
The crazy part is, I think I wanted communication because, to me, that was our love language.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we had. Like, when in doubt, we communicated.
Email.
Like through everything. And I guess this is the takeaway from this, is that regardless of the situation, we found each other.
Yeah.
No matter how it looked, no matter how much people try to come in, no matter individually in separate worlds, people trying to break us and going through this and going through that, still somehow we found each other.
Cause I was like, he different, I'm different. This ain't, I don't know. She's like, it'll work. How you know?
And it's working.
Yeah, it's working. Right. And it's working. So I told you.
As we close this out, and I want people to take something away from this, and I want to start with you. What can people take away from finding their Neo, the one? And how important it is to have a friend. And I want the friend to talk about, okay, how important it is to stick in there as a friend, because being pushed away and still like, listen, I know you pushing away. Guess what? I still love you.
She did.
And then I'll bring it home to kind of, put a bow on this guy. But I think everything that has been said today I'm praying and hoping somebody take away from this, because I wasn't expecting tears, but this brought tears. Because
we never really even sat down and kind of like just ever rehashed it. We kind of knew, like, she can look at me like, we know that. It was almost like we know what happened.
Yeah.
But if other people didn't know, we knew what happened. Yeah. And I mean, in a lot of details, we ended up, we had to leave out for obvious reasons that we all know about, because it's not about, us talking down or talking about people, but it's just, this is how we got to where we are. Did you jump?
She thought it was almost over. Oh, God.
Oh, it's coming for me. That's here. I can't. But I think that's what it all is, and that's why I think the tears will come, because we haven't, we still haven't just sat to discuss, like, hey, yo, this is what, this is what happened, and this is how how things played out, because I can really say that if it was not for like the things that you did, and I know you told me to go a different way with this, but you saying you leave the people with something, but this is I'm gonna leave it with something.
First of all, it's what we do.
But I know that at the end of the day, our 20-something year friendship has endured, because if it hadn't been for you, I know I wouldn't have made it out. And I've had friends before, but literally through the thick and the thin, the muck and the mire, like people don't understand, and never will understand like the friendship that we have, and it actually is bigger than the sistership that we have. And they can say what they want to, but no matter what, I know the place that I have with you, and I know the place that you have. Well, now look with us, and I appreciate it, because I'm here because you had a voice to God's ear, or had your ear to God's voice, and you were able to hear clearly, and to be able to articulate that to me in a manner that I can understand without even truly understanding. And even through the stubbornness and our hard-headedness together and the bucking up, that is why this even came. That is why this is even here, because it was having somebody to think rationally when you couldn't think rationally. And there were a lot of times where I can go back and I can look like, yeah, I wasn't doing that right. Yeah, Janae pulled me out of that one. And there were a lot of, you had to pull me out and to keep me thinking rational, so I wouldn't do anything to I'll say hurt somebody else severely or be hurt myself. And I think that's what, when it comes down to how we live life, and the people that God places before us, but then we choose them. Like, I'm glad, like I can go back and say I'm glad 2006 you decided to come out to that event. Because if not, then not only where would we be, but where would our kids be?
Right.
Because this is something that we have seen that is way bigger than us.
Yeah.
And y'all, she's the relationship guru. I will say that. And I can't wait till we have you back with your counterpart sitting on this side of the couch.
Look, I'm sitting over here laughing like, boy, I tell you.
But I can't wait till that day comes to where your other half is sitting here, and then we can talk full circle, full connection. Because it's so deserving of what you pour out to people, and how much you give. That's what you have to have back in return. Because you pour a lot, you invested in us unknowingly of how it was going to turn out, and if it was going to even turn out.
She knew.
Yeah, she did. And that's the thing. Like, I can't wait to see what this reconnection brings for you in this moment. And so I say to you all that are watching, you do need solid friendships, and this is a testament of time of solid friendship. There's nothing negative we can say about each other.
Yeah.
Won't say about each other. There's some stuff we, probably not forgot because we held it so long. But this is the true testament of what true friendship all across, because that's how we started as friends. This is what true friendship looks like, and what relationship building looks like. It's not always easy, but in those moments, even if you friend zone somebody for a long time,
even though it ain't your fault,
it's just irrational thinking. the irrational thinking sometimes that we have. So if you are out there and you are in a situation that is unhealthy or things are questionable, make sure you have somebody that you can truly trust in your corner, that you can bounce those things off so that they can assist. But make sure it's someone that's trustworthy, that just won't talk about it, but that will actually help you to make moves. And then of course the everybody don't have to be friend zone, y'all. Had I not listened to the lie, well, no, I ain't gonna even say that because we might not have been here. So, but it was all a lie. It started with a lie.
That ended in the truth.
That ended in the truth. I cannot.
It's right here. The lie.
You get what I'm saying? But I think that's the most important part. It's just making sure that you have solid friendships across the board, because solid friendships can get you through the test of times. Godly friendships, that's big important, because even though I knew who God was, and I believed who he was, it took just that little bit, and then her to fuel that fire, and then them two to join together for then it to be a full flame so that moves can be made. So find you some good, wholesome friendships. Yeah.
Look, I can't even follow this. Look, the tears, I can't follow. If it's one thing that I could leave everyone with, it's definitely to be open to love, number one. But understand that everything is a journey. And just because something doesn't look the way you think it's supposed to look in the beginning, you can never tell God what he can't do. And this right here is just proof of that, because from the outside looking in, you'd be like, I don't know how in the world they got there, they did this. Like, I don't understand it. But I promise you, when God moves, it's not for you to understand, because it's not going to make sense to you logically. And you just have to be obedient.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I know that during that time, it was just obedience on all of our parts.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like Mo said, you just got to trust God. And when God says move, you got to move. And you have to be obedient to that. And like I said, sitting here talking about it out loud, there are things that happen in your life and it doesn't really touch you until you go back and you talk about it. But we started off like me coming in and helping you.
Yeah.
But years later, you did the same thing for me. And we're not going to talk about it now, but exactly what you did. And I'm thankful for you. And you too, Mo, because when I was really, really down, y'all came in and you took in my whole family. So I thank y'all for that. Look, that's it. I'm not going to cry today. Look, I'm the crier now.
Man, what can I say about this whole situation? One thing I can say, just to kind of bring it full circle, is I thank God for your obedience. And even through everything that has happened, I don't take it back. I don't take back being friend zone. I don't take the lie. I mean, I would do it all over. I would do it all over 100 times just to get to this point right there. Because to me, it was worth the fight. It was worth the ride. It was worth the ups and downs. It was worth the tears. It was worth everything that came with it, because now that we're here, it's like we wake up every day in this whole love shell that is just like we just. I mean, I think I said last podcast, we just love each other, and y'all finally met the glue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that held us together. I mean, not just held us together, but believed in us.
Yeah.
And to me, that's one of the most important things. And we, in this 2025 that is going on, we're going to be really, really, really honing in on connecting even more with, I would say, little sis. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Because she your little sis. She my big sis. I can't.
You know, I don't know why she didn't get with my friend.
So I'm done.
But you know, listen. These things happen.
They do.
I thought it'd be fire though.
They
honestly.
do. And it's so funny because I remember the whole everything.
Because he was such like, I was like, them two together, I swear.
Yeah.
And I thought it was gonna work.
I did too.
Because when it came,
yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, this is it.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it was it. Like,
It was me. It was me.
It was me.
It was me, Joe.
But I truly thank God for you, Janae, and we gonna do more.
Yeah.
We're gonna definitely do more this year, even with your family, different other stuff like that. Because it shows what happened when a group of people, different walks of life, believe in one God, and He brings them literally to sit in one place, all at the same time.
Yeah.
We talking about 3 different walks right here.
Yeah.
All online people.
All online.
Who are now sitting in the same area at the same time.
Years later.
You can't tell me that's not God.
Yeah.
You can't you can't make me believe that people.
That part.
I mean, because I'm looking, it's like we're talking about this story. Met you online, met me online, and now all of a sudden we're literally sitting here physically on the same couch on one of the most powerful podcasts known to man. God is good.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all for tuning in. 9 times 10, we're going to break this up, in 2 parts, maybe 3 parts. Who knows? We'll see. But we want to thank y'all for tuning in. I am Mo.
I'm Tiff.
And I'm Janae.
She'll be back. Thank y'all. We love y'all.